So when it comes to audio, we have another thing called selective auditory attention, which was first brought up around 1953 by a guy called Colin Cherry. It's this idea that there's a certain amount of auditorial information that we can take in. Imagine all your friends talking at the same time. You will have to zone in on one thing and kind of focus on that to get some kind of actual info out of it. And the same goes for Siege. When you have, you know, barbed wire, lesion mines, breach charges, gunshots, you're trying to listen for footsteps and you have two of your teammates screaming that a guy is flanking red stairs, there's only so much that you can actually focus on at once. There's four things that you can really think about at once. It's either called the limit of 7, which is what most people can remember 7 things after each other, and most people can focus on an average of 4 things at once. It makes it important to have your communication extremely calm and strict, so try to always only have one guy give call-outs at a time. Try to have them very directed at a certain person so he knows that he's the one that has to focus about it. If you're gonna help Jaeger, well then either call out his IGN, or his name, or say, Jaeger, there's a guy flanking, instead of going, there's a guy flanking, there's a guy flanking, there's a guy flanking, and then Jaeger gets shot and you expected him to know that it was about him. But this cocktail party problem is a big thing in Siege. Even when you're just sitting there, if you're solo queued or if you're playing with other people, you need to kind of direct your focus on what's the most important. Do you need to hear this guy sneaking up the stairs? Are you late in the round and do you need to listen for a plant? It's okay to have a button to mute your Discord or mute your in-game comms, or just a way of turning up your audio. There's a lot of things that you're missing out on, not because of the game, but because of where your focus lies. That doesn't mean that there aren't any bugs. There are plenty of times in Siege where either audio isn't played because there's too much audio being played at the same time, or maybe if we look at some things like barbed wire, for example, you can have the barbed wire make sound after you've passed it. It has like a, I don't know if I can call it a residual wiggle in the barbed wire. Tell me if the wire doesn't make audio like basically after I'm passing it.
Oh yeah, it does.
But most of the time, if you try to focus about having the audio loudest in the center, so by looking at whatever it is you're hearing, you're going to be able to pinpoint pretty accurate where people are. So if you just try and run forth and back, I'm going to try and tell when I'm ready. So all I did is turn my viewer a little left and a little right to try and figure out when the audio becomes even. And the second the audio is even, you should be right in front of me. That's pretty much the gist of that. All right. So when it comes to audio settings, everything's pretty straightforward. For subtitles, I only have those on just so every now and then there might be a little bit of info that I otherwise missed. It could be anything from reloads to ADS placed, grenade out, whatever. I don't see a downside in having the text. It doesn't throw me off or anything, so I'm leaving that on just because it might be extra info. Master volume, I mean, as loud as you can comfortably have it without without it being deafening. The louder you make it, you can't hear footsteps further away, but the ones that are within audible range will be louder, if that makes sense. Music, I see no point. I don't want to have the music at the end of the round. The whole 15-second warning music, that kind of throws me off and does nothing good. Dialogue volume, that's everything as such as screams, yells, when people yell out they're reloading. If they fall, that's a big one, or take damage from a Twitch drone. Leaving this up higher is pretty neat, and I don't see a reason to not have it on. When it comes to your different audio volumes or audio modes, dynamic range, you can argue that it's a personal preference. The one thing is that night mode do push the roof of the audio limit down, so basically all the loudest sounds become a little bit quieter, which allows you to turn your max or master volume up a little bit more. So your gunshots, your explosions will be a little bit quieter, allowing you to turn your volume up, so therefore your footsteps become a little louder. None of these have an impact on how far away you can hear things, or what you can hear. Just simply what your max volume can be, where it's still comfortable for you to play on. That's pretty much it there. When it comes to things like 7.1 versus stereo, the game is, you know, you're in a 3D space. You can turn around to try and figure out where the audio is coming from. So there's no point in running virtual surround sound, because surround sound is going to be virtual. There's not going to be any way for you to get more info out of less data. So something that is being delivered in stereo, if you transform that into 7.1, for example, it's going to have to emulate all of that, which doesn't give you more. It doesn't give you more information. If you like playing with it, by all means, but you're not going to be able to hear things more precise. You're not going to be able to get a better spatial awareness or any of that stuff. I see it as a bit of a waste, and honestly, good pair of open back headphones if you're in a place where you can play with open back headphones, or at least just a decent pair of headphones, and then turn your volume up to what's comfortable. Between in-ears and headphones, I guess the difference there is that for competitive players, they have to play with in-ears. When you're at LAN, you play with in-ears, and then you have noise cancelling above that. It's not because they want to play with in-ears, it's because they have to. If you're sitting at home and you're playing 5, 4, 6, 8 hours a day, then I'd probably try and stick to headphones instead of in-ears. In-ears are a bit more damaging for both the pH value of your ears. You're more likely to get ear infections. It's worse for your hearing in the long run. There is just a lot of downsides to running in-ears. And you get a smaller speaker inside those in-ears. I use Shure 425s for in-ears when I travel, and they sound beautiful, and they have like 2 or 3 drivers in them, or speakers, whatever you want to call them, but they still don't have the same full sound as a pair of better open back, or at least large microphones. Headphones. I'll always recommend a pair of decent studio headphones. There's no such thing as gaming headphones. It's not a thing. You have audio is audio. You know, 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz is the same frequencies no matter what headphone you're on. We're not listening to high bitrate music. We're not trying to differentiate between 10 violins in an orchestra. It's about, can you hear the footsteps on your left and can you hear the gunshots on your right? That's the gist of it when it comes to gaming. And the only magic trick is to turn your volume up as loud as you can have it without it being uncomfortable. When we get into things like changing EQs to boost footsteps, in my opinion, we get close to it being too much third-party use, and it's truly not necessary.
Audio will not pass through a bullet hole. It will not pass through a punch hole. Nothing smaller than, imagine a normal shotgun shot.
It's a lot more bassy.
Okay, so none of the bullet holes made a difference. 4 punch holes definitely helped a bit. And now I have full audio.
Any kind of shotgun hole, impact hole, fractures from grenades, C4, audio will pass through. You will need to be within 2 meters on the smaller holes to truly get directional audio. Otherwise, you will only hear the audio come through that hole instead. If you are between a door and the hole, and you are looking into the wall, the audio, when the guy is in front of you, will be centered in your screen. So if you look left and right, and you can hear the audio center, so it comes out equally from left and right speaker or headphone, then the guy is right in front of you for the wall bang. It's rather important to understand how the audio flows, the fact that it doesn't go through glass.
So if I just open the balcony here and what's up?
I don't even hear you break it.
No, exactly. So if you run just left and right, just sprint around outside. I can't hear anything. Okay, I hear that, but it's super muffled. Now I hear it clear as day. So the idea of, like, this is why you need to break the glass.
That it's bass bassier when they're above you and more treble when below you.
The bass when you're above is a lot thicker than when you go below. It basically just changes from being full bass to full treble.
And that's realistic.
If you are on, let's say, first floor, it is almost impossible to hear anyone run around below you unless there's some sort of a destruction or hole in the floor, maybe an open hatch.
Try to run around the same spot for a little bit, and I'll try and see if I can find you. There you are.
If they're above you, you will always be able to hear it. And the same goes for that. Look around above you, and when you can hear the audio self-center, that's where the guy is, and you're going to be able to, for example, wallbang him with a shotgun, C4, double impact, whatever you might need.
And this is the carpet. Okay, wait, it's kind of hard. Okay, this is carpet.
Yeah, there's no difference. It's no, none.
Nearly killed me. Even with 200 HP, you almost killed me.
My work is done. Time to pack it up.